Hello guys, welcome back to Residencia. Here at Residencia we talk about how to optimize your structure and be bulletproof at the same time against the local and foreign tax authority that want to bite your business profit. And we want to make sure that your international business structure is totally compliant with all the anti-abuse rules all around the world, okay, with all the type of jurisdictions. And we also provide in the description below the video a consultancy service in order to understand if we can help you with your business, and also a tax consultancy to understand if your taxation can be improved, or if you start from scratch a new business, we can help you to understand tax-wise if the structure that you are building can be even more optimized and try to reach zero taxation if it's possible, based on your personal situation, based on your family situation and your business situation. Now, for the sake of this video, I just want to focus the attention of this jurisdiction of El Salvador. El Salvador is a very new, a newalty on the world of the taxation system countries, territorial taxation system countries, because they have updated the local law in 2024. So there are recent news that might be really interesting for those who has the idea of the willingness to live there as individual, because you can basically obtain 0% taxation at the personal level and business level, combining the territorial taxation system principle of El Salvador and a foreign company incorporated in the United States. So, before moving a little bit in details about the structure, I just want to give you some introduction of this country from the taxation point of view, why you manage to have 0% as individual. First of all, you can more easy now to obtain the residency. You don't have to stay 130 days. It's one of the possibilities, stay more than 133 days, but there is also the possibility of being in tax resident in El Salvador as individual if you stay only 90 days plus ties, certain number of ties that you have to build with the country, okay? And in the consultancy we can explain exactly what does it mean ties correctly. But 90 days it's quite useful, because then you can travel around, you can go around the world. If you have international businesses, you need to move quite often. So El Salvador demands you only 90 days, and you have the famous tax certificate. So officially the jurisdiction recognizes you as a tax resident, which is extremely important when you need to trigger a convention of double taxation or contestation of tax residence from other tax aggressive jurisdictions. Okay, so it's very important. Always the tax certificate, it's a minimum base to start any kind of, or be bulletproof against any kind of contestations. So tax certificate. Once you are tax resident as individual in El Salvador, you basically manage to be in the territorial taxation system. And it's a pure territorial taxation system, means that everything generated abroad is tax-free, and only if you have income from within the border, it's taxed at the local tax rates. But what does it mean exactly? Having income within the border means also when you have client in the border, within the border. So if you have an activity and you issue an invoice to local businesses, you have to pay taxes at the corporate tax in Salvador. Now, our idea, regardless the tax rate of this country, which is not that big anyway, but still we want to reach in this video the 0% taxation at individual level and a corporate level. So you don't have to have any incomes from this country. Everything has to come from abroad. Everything has to be generated from abroad, and means dividends, capital gains, interest. So dividends, capital gain, interest generated from foreign jurisdiction are not taxed in Salvador, are not considered income. But most of it, if you have a foreign company incorporated outside the El Salvador borders, El Salvador doesn't use the principle of place of effective management, but uses the place of effective incorporation. So what does it mean? It means that only the company incorporated outside the border of El Salvador are foreign, are not subject to taxation, regardless, and this is a very important point, this is the very the powerfulness of this jurisdiction, regardless if I'm running and giving the direction, operative directive, from my laptop in El Salvador. So I can stay and be the place of effective management of this company, even if it's a foreign company, the foreign company remains foreign. And if you manage to have income from foreign company, it means that the dividend from this company is foreign, the salary from this company is foreign, and basically is not taxed at all in the El Salvador. Okay? Now, which is the jurisdiction that perfectly matches with this structure? United States. So if we incorporate an LLC in United States combined with El Salvador, it's bingo, because you know the LLC in United States, they are disgregated entity. They invoice, they receive money in the local bank account, so the entity receives the money, but the taxation, they don't have the corporate tax. The taxation goes straight to the individual. So the individual, which is not US person, so if this works only if you're not US person, of course, and you're not really running a business with a contract dependent person in US, so you manage to also sell services, goods and services to the United States, be tax free. So you have this LLC, disgregated entity, so a pass-through company, all the income flows into your pocket, and since you're tax resident in El Salvador that doesn't tax your foreign income, you will see automatically you have 0% taxes either at corporate level and at individual level. Individual level because it's not taxed in El Salvador, and at corporate level because United States doesn't tax your LLC. The LLC is not a S corp. You check the box to be a disgregated entity, so there is no corporate tax in the United States, no federal tax if this LLC is managed by a non-US person, non-permanent resident in the United States, but resident in El Salvador. So this combination, it's a combination quite useful, quite known with Paraguay, with Hong Kong, with other non-territorial tax jurisdictions. But the difference that Salvador is quite nice in terms of how to easily get the tax certificate. It's a pure territorial taxation system, so you manage to have 0% tax as individual, and 0 combining with the LLC, you have 0 as well. Everything is legal. You have the tax certificate, you can do it with no problem. And then El Salvador has also more 2 points that makes this jurisdiction better than the others. Bitcoin has local currency along with US dollar. Bitcoin means that you can pay straight with the wallet, and is not part of common reporting standard. So it doesn't apply the commerce, it doesn't exchange information with the rest of the world, with the banks of the rest of the world. So you have more level of privacy. Of course, it's part of FEACTA, de facto protocol with the United States, because actually it uses the US dollar, so it's in the US system, dollar system. It's very interesting, but of course it works only if you're willing to get the tax residence in El Salvador, you see. So if your plan to stay in Central America and then live in this country with a certain margin of maneuver in terms of traveling all around the world, you can easily apply this structure. Be careful that when you are outside El Salvador and you're running your LLC somewhere else places, you have to make sure not become tax resident in a jurisdiction in which you'll temporarily stay. So the classical advice of all the tax advisors will be never pass 6 months anywhere, or even 3 months, it will be even more safe. I hope you like this kind of video. We're going to explore more and more jurisdiction, and I'm going to tell you exactly structure-wise which is the best solution to be 0%. This is a 0% solution. It requires you to move there. No other requires you to stay there. There's no other options to reach this kind of solution with these 2 jurisdictions, United States and El Salvador. But it's very interesting if you're able to make this transfer from your country origin to El Salvador. See you to the next content, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, notification bell, like button to be always updated whenever we release this kind of content. And in the description below the video you have our calendar link if you want to book a consultation and understand more in details how this structure could be used by you, or if you have any type of tax question, international matter questions. Okay? See you in the next content. Bye.